Well, good Friday morning, everyone, or whatever time it is in your neck of the planet. It is slated to be like 3 degrees cooler today in Sacramento. It's we're having a cooling trend. It's coming down to forecast to be 97 today. But anyway, it's been a busy week for me, and it's not over yet because tonight I have the privilege of doing the final initiatory workshop, I guess you'd say, in the 3 degrees of Kabbalah wisdom or Kabbalah magic, and for my Chinese class. So it's time differential and everything else. I do it late in the afternoon, early evening here. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. If you're interested in the 3 degrees of Kabbalah initiation as a self-initiation kind of thing into the mastery of the Hebrew alphabet, or at least the impregnation of the Hebrew alphabet inside your psyche, just let me know on Facebook. I post the link to where you can avail yourself of those. Each of them is about a 3-hour workshop. But anyway, I talked about Goetia and stuff like that yesterday, and people like to talk about Goetia because it's very interesting, and it can be very practical, and many aspects of magic aren't particularly directly practical at all. But the people have the wrong idea of what this kind of magic is and what the spirits are. And when you're discussing this with somebody, the generic term spirit, it's too vague. It's too general. Lots of stuff are spirits. The concept of Santa Claus is a spirit. There's spirit of goodwill. There's spirits of the Brotherhood of Man is a spirit, and there are angelic intelligences which on the outset seem like, oh, those are wonderful. Oh, they're for God and everything's good there. And then there's the more demonic spirits, which one would think of as, oh, stay away from them. They've got an agenda of their own. And the idea is, what the hell are we talking about when you say good spirits, bad spirits, command spirits, cajole spirits, be nice to spirits, be firm with spirits. It all depends on what level of consciousness you're dealing with when you use the word spirit. I'm going to start off with a couple of little things that I was thinking of on my walk today. First of all, I keep bringing up, where is it? There it is. I keep bringing up my panticle. Okay. I'm proud of my panticle. Yes, we should all be proud of our panticle. It's the foundation of where we subsequently build our magical career on this current snapshot of our understanding of the universe. But it served me well over a lot of years. And for the Kabbalist and the Kabbalistic magician, it still serves me very well. But now we see the 4 trees of life all emanating from the kether. They all join in one kether, and that's how the existence manifests. It all comes out of a single singularity. So instead of four trees on top of each other, the representing the four elements, the four cardinal signs, the four Kabbalistic worlds, the four parts of the soul, Yod He Vav He, all of that stuff, I got them all springing out of that singularity. And in the rhythm of my walk this morning, lines from Liber Librae kept going through my my head, and I began to think of my panticle and the line from Liber Librae that says, "Therefore, as hath already been said, establish thyself firmly in the equilibrium of forces, in the center of the cross of the elements, that cross from whose center the creative word issued at the birth of the dawning universe. Be thou, therefore, prompt and active as the sylphs, but avoid frivolity and caprice. Be energetic and strong like the salamanders, but avoid irritability and ferocity. Be flexible and attentive to images like the undines, but avoid idleness and changeability. Be laborious and patient like the gnomes, but avoid grossness and avarice. So shalt thou gradually develop the powers of thy soul and fit thyself to command the spirits of the elements. For wert thou to summon the gnomes, to pander to thine avarice, thou wouldst no longer command them, but they would command you. Wouldst thou abuse the pure beings of the woods and mountains to fill thy coffers and satisfy thy hunger of gold? Wouldst thou debase the spirits of the living fire to serve thy wrath and hatred? Wouldst thou violate the purity of the souls of the waters to pander to thy lust of debauchery? Wouldst thou force the spirits of the evening breeze to minister to thy folly and caprice? Know that with such desires thou canst but attract the weak, not the strong. And in that case, the weak will have power over thee. Now, when we're talking about spirits, a balance has to always be kept in mind. And there are aspects of spirits that need to be ruthlessly brought to bear, controlled, and redirected, and some to be cooperated with, cajoled, coaxed, diplomatically coaxed, respected, all of them respected. But that respect manifests in different ways according to whether you're dealing with high-frequency intelligences that are metaphorically expressed as angels, archangels, spirits, and intelligences of planetary things like that, or if we're dealing with gross, unbalanced, blind brute forces of nature that need something to redirect them. Why do I bring all of that up? Because another thing that occurred to me on my way to coffee, oh, I want a sip of coffee right now. Hang on. Let's see if I've bookmarked it, because I had my Kindle with me this morning. Here, again from Ask Babylon. Shouldn't I be nice to the Goetic spirits so that they won't be mad at me and try to hurt me? Okay, now we're talking about Goetic spirits. And remember yesterday we're talking about Solomonic magic and what those particular forces are that we're dealing with, you know. We're not dealing with Metatron here. We're dealing with the heavy lifting characters, the brutes. Hello, I recently read your... Okay. I have some questions about Goetia and magic because I have consciously made the decision to perform an operation once I've gained more information and study. I don't possess the tools, so to speak, at this point. Are there alternatives that you may recommend if one does not have all the tools necessary for successful operation? These are all good questions. I would ask the same questions myself a few years back. I was also wondering what might be the outcome of summoning a spirit without a triangle. Now, I got to digress and remind everybody that magic, if you want to call it magic, and if you want it to operate like magic, and if you want it to have the effects that magic has on you, magic is not done as an experiment to see what happens. You'll see what happens without trying to do it just for the sake of seeing what happens. It does not reflect well in the spirit world to be experimented upon instead of exploited for a purpose. But I digress. Also, I was wondering what would be the outcome of summoning a spirit without a triangle, if that spirit was approached respectfully and on a conscious level. What I mean is, can the operation be performed in the mind alone with success? Of course, some operations can. Some angels, of course, it's just stuff, you know, it's just wood and metal and things like that, you know. Of course, you're always doing it in your mind. You're only grounding yourself by doing any kind of ceremonial magic in the real world. But he's lumping everything together spirit-wise, and he's talking specifically about Goetic type spirits. That level of consciousness that we have within ourselves in our very animal nature, the nepish of our part of our soul. That's where we go. That's why we go to hell. We go to our own hell to get those things. We pull them out of our own hell and give them new directions, okay? That's why they say, well, you're infernal spirit. Yeah, goddamn right, they're infernal spirits. But they're your infernal spirits, okay? And there's intelligences and levels of consciousness in our ruach, a little bit higher than that, which a lot of Kabbalists wallow around in most of the time. And there is our neshama, okay? When we're vibrating at the frequency of the holy guardian angel, and that's. And all of these, we lump it, we call it spirits. And well, why do I have to do a triangle? Hold your horses. Okay. Can the operation be performed in the mind alone with success? And believe me, I'm digressing all over the place here. I know great Goetic magicians that have done it so much that of course they can use it without laying out a physical triangle on the floor, without laying out they carry their triangle in their circle with them, okay? But it's taken a long time to install all of that equipment in the hardware of their psyche. But I digress, I'm sorry. I've read some writers who disagree with your method in the sense that the spirits, again, spirits, should not be commanded to do things for you. You advocate, at least by my interpretation, take charge of the spirit's attitude by the conjurers. Elsewhere, I have read, admittedly online at this point, you should approach them, and I think he's referring to the Goetic spirits here, you should approach them in a diplomatic, friendly, accommodating manner. If you approach them in a demanding way, they'll resist and more likely try to harm you. Now that shows a basic breakdown in what these things are. Okay, you're whipping him up because you're already being diplomatic. Your whole life before this operation has been one long string of you being diplomatic with these characters. The conjuration is your declaration of, okay, diplomacy hasn't worked for the last 45 years. I'm going to have to get in control of you. But I didn't say that. I'm sorry. Okay. We'll try to harm the conjurer. Any information to be greatly appreciated. Name withheld. Dear name withheld, I wouldn't worry about fancy tools. I would, however, not omit the use of the circle and a triangle, at least in magical operations that incorporate the Solomonic formula. Of course, you are free to experiment to your heart's content, especially if experimentation is the object of your operation. Simply put, however, if there is no circle and no triangle, there is no Solomonic formula. You'll be doing another kind of magic. Doing other kinds of magic is great. Indeed, I believe a true magician must develop their own techniques based on their own understanding of things. I guess everyone has their own idea of what Goetic spirits are. There are lots of other kinds of spirits that I would work with without evoking them into a triangle. There are lots of other spirits I don't command. I only use the triangle with Goetic spirits because of my current understanding, accurate or not, of the formulae of this particular magical art form. I only command those spirits who need someone to command them. Spirits who are by nature and tradition infernal in nature. These are blind forces that, when harnessed, controlled, and directed, enthusiastically do all the constructive heavy lifting in the universe. But when unharnessed, uncontrolled, and undirected, destroy things, including bodies, minds, marriages, careers, lives, and self-respect. With the same enthusiastic fierceness and zeal. For these forces I must master, or these are the forces I must master in order to master their mirror natures in myself. Unrecognized, these spirits manifest in my life as problems, obstacles, and enemies. I only resort to goetic evocation when I have a problem that needs to be solved, an obstacle that needs to be overcome that is hindering my great work. A spiritual enemy that needs to be defeated. And in those cases, and I put this all in caps, it is the demon that is my problem. It is the demon that is my obstacle. It is the demon that is my enemy. As such, Eliphas Levi sings, these devils by my might to angels I must change. On them must I impose my will, the law of light. Once I have a goetic spirit successfully mastered and in my employ, I arrange from then on to evoke it without a circle and triangle. As long as it remembers and remains loyal, I treat it with utmost respect, courtesy, and love. As my initiatory level rises, I, in turn, raise its level. At least that is my Solomonic magic worldview, and the one I use when I operate goetic evocation. Perhaps your experiments will prompt you to look at things differently. In any case, I wish you good luck, and I've got to go to bed now. My best, Lon. Or Babylon in this case. Returning now, that being said, I'm just going to give you the opening. Let's see here where we are. Hang on. Well, I want to do a little more from Liber Librae. Thou therefore who desirest magical gifts, be sure that thou soul is firm and steadfast, for it is by flattering the weaknesses that the weak ones will gain power over thee. Now, I will report, and other goetic magicians will also report something similar, that once a spirit is in the triangle, once you've got a goetic spirit or a Solomonic formula spirit, once you've got one of these little critters in the triangle, and you start to talk with them, very often they will seem very cooperative, and you're inclined to be very courteous. Well, as a matter of fact, it's part of the formula. Say, thank you for coming. There's the welcoming address to the spirit. thank you for coming. And but if you look close at some of these classic evocation procedures, they immediately say, before we go too far, you're going to have to promise to obey me. You're going to make a pledge right now because you're looking at God when you're looking at me. So we're not going to go on with this conversation until you recognize that you got to do what I got to do. Oh, yes. Yes, I'll do that. Okay. It's right out of worm tongue and stuff. But anyway, once you've got that established, you try to say what it is that you want it to do. Look, here's my situation. I want such and such and such. I need to have such and such in my life. Such and such of this is standing in that way. Whatever I want you to overcome that obstacle so that I can achieve what it is that I want. Yes, I'll do that. Okay, I need it done by tomorrow afternoon. And by tomorrow afternoon, I need to see unambiguous evidence that you are working to that end. 1 o'clock tomorrow afternoon. Can you do that? Yes. But now, until then, the magician has been giving orders and getting a response to that order or that sentence from the magician. Magician says something, the spirit responds. The magician says something, the spirit responds. A universal occurrence reported by magicians of this kind of magic is that before the demon is sent off to do the job, the demon seems to say something without not responding to the magician. In other words, can you do that? Yes. Can you do that by 1 o'clock? Yes. But that's not much time. There comes a time, if you're paying attention, and magicians, that's their job, to pay attention, the spirit initiates something that's not a response. It's something coming from the magician, or from the spirit to the magician instead of the magician to the... Okay, you know what I mean. The spirit comes up with a statement of its own, usually one that plants doubt in the mind of the magician. And you think to yourself, tomorrow by 1 o'clock really isn't much time. And then the magician goes, okay, I need to see unambiguous evidence that you're working for me, and I'll give you 3 days. 3 days is not much time either. Or, yes, I can do it in 3 days, but 3 days is not much. Okay, you know what's going on here. All of a sudden, the tables have turned, and that spirit has evoked you. That spirit is in control. A week's not going to be enough either. 6 months. In 6 months, something's bound to happen. And then you won't be a failure in magic. Then you could say, oh, well, I did a Goetic spirit, and I can go on YouTube and tell people I did a Goetic spirit, and it worked. But I need 6 months to do that, and then you could... You see what's going on? That spirit has been doing that in your life your whole life. That's the negotiation process. That's the kind of thing that Goethe and the various Faustian authors have been getting to when the idea of making pacts with the devil come. No, 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 no. There's lots of spirits that represent things that are completely different than this kind of spirit. This kind of spirit is currently running amok in your universe, and
The universe is all of space and time and their contents, including planets, stars, galaxies, and all other forms of matter and energy. Shall I continue?
no, that will be enough. Thank you. I guess that's my cue to leave. Anyway, that's it for today. Um, Now, I'm going to finish off here. I don't know why Siri did that. Okay. Therefore, who desires magical gifts, be sure that thy soul is firm and steadfast, for it is by flattering thy weakness, that the weak ones shall gain power over thee. Humble thyself before thyself, yet fear neither man nor spirit. Fear is failure and the forerunner of failure, and courage is the beginning of virtue. So the question is, oh, if I'm rude to the spirit, maybe I'm afraid they're going to be mad at me. You just violated another Solomonic formula. Therefore, fear not the spirits, but be firm and courteous with them. For thou hast no right to despise or revile them. And this too may lead thee astray. Command them, banish them, curse them by the great names, if need be, but neither mock nor revile them, for so assuredly thou shalt be led into error. And this last line doesn't have anything directly to do with this, but it's my favorite line. A man is what he maketh himself within the limits of fixed by his inherited destiny. He's part of mankind. His actions affect not only what he calleth himself, but also the whole universe. Siri, universe. See, she doesn't bother me now. Okay, that's it for today's Saturday morning cartoons. I don't know what I'm going to do for Saturday morning cartoons, but hopefully we'll have a little fun tomorrow and this weekend. Until then, continue to be good to yourself and be good to each other. Do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law. Love is the law, love under will.